Hello everybody, it's Thursday evening, it's 8 o'clock-ish, it's time for content and cocktails. So, sorry for being a minute or so late, I'm still twiddling with knobs trying to get my sound levels right because I realised that I hadn't really kind of done done everything I needed to after my live earlier in the week. So, how are we all doing? Hope you're well. My name's Tom Stanhope, if you're new to the group and you haven't tuned into Content and Cocktails before. Tonight is all about our weekly chance to have a bit of a dive into all things video, whilst I, and you, if you are so inclined, mix a drink, pull up a pew and get stuck in. So over the course of the next half hour or so, I'm going to be digging into some of the things that have been on my mind about video content marketing over the last week. I'm going to tell you a bit about my day today, because I had a really interesting working day. First time I've been out shooting in, oh good grief, almost 6 months. And going to dive a little bit into some of the things that are going to be coming up in the group. But first of all, I'll tell you a little bit about me. And if you've not been part of this before, hopefully that'll give you a bit of context. So, my name's Tom Stanhope, and I run this group, Grow Your Business with Video, and I help business owners create video. Help them go from nervous novice creators to really kind of competent and stylish and effective video creators and video marketers. Why is that important? Why is it important for you as business owners to master video? Well, video marketing is hugely effective. It's an incredibly powerful way to grow your business. And it's a way that all of us, if we have even the most rudimentary of cameras, have access to. We've got these platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever you use. These platforms give us access to almost unimaginable audiences in a really specific way. And video is an incredibly powerful way to reach people. So that's me. That's why you want to be using video. And this group is all about connecting with lots of different people who are interested in using video, who are indeed interested in kind of mastering the 4 pillars of video content creation. And those 4 pillars are the mindset. You've got to have the right mindset to be a good, regular, competent creator. You need to master the tech, so that's understanding the equipment you've got, how you use it, how you make it work for you rather than against you. The third one is a strategy. You've got to have a plan. You've got to know where you're going, how you're going to get there. And finally, you've got to know your story. You've got to understand the story you're telling to your audience. So that's what this group is all about. It's all about mastering all of that. So I am just going to, I realise I haven't got my content and cocktails. There we go. I've got my little overlay. I quite like this. So, content and cocktails. That's what we're talking about. The content-wise, we're going to be digging into. First of all, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think you're using video to its fullest? And if not, what's holding you back? So, I'd really like to get your comments on that. If you're watching this in the replay, give me a hashtag replay, but also pop your comments, your questions around this idea of, are you using video to its fullest? And we can maybe get into it as the week progresses. So yeah, I'm going simple for today's cocktail because, to be honest, I'd kind of been planning on doing something a bit more elaborate with my cocktail, but actually we've had a full day. Oh, hello, Facebook user. It says, hi Tom, your 4 pillars strategy is great. So at the top of this, you'll see in the comment section of the post, you'll see a thing that says click on the StreamYard link so that we can see who mystery Facebook user is. I don't know who you are, but I want to find out. So I'm going to go for a very simple gin and it. So it involves gin and a sweet vermouth, Italian vermouth. So it's a measure of each. I love this cocktail, and I'll tell you why I love it, because it's incredibly simple and it hits the spot really well. So just a little glass, a couple of ice cubes, one measure of gin. So this is all action off camera, so you have to take my word that I'm doing this professionally and with great skill and aplomb. A bit of Italian vermouth. I'm afraid I've gone for a bit of a cheap ass vermouth that I was able to get from the local co-op. I'm not using kind of particularly high class ingredients on this, but I can tell you it's a really lovely drink. And I like to put a cherry there, a cocktail cherry, because it just adds a little bit of a cherry sweetness. I like to get a teeny tiny bit of the kind of the liquor that the cherries are sort of marinating in. Then all you do is just give it a stir. And that's it. Cheers to your good health. Oh, that is a great drink. I really like that one. So yeah, if you fancy it, give it a go. So I said, and as Joe Lyons of Ambition Growth Network, an excellent paid-for membership, as Joe Lyons said, what a day indeed. So some of you may have seen in the group that I posted some pictures from a place called Drake's Island, and I've been very fortunate today in that I've been able to go and film for Joe Lyons and Carly Somerville for Ambition Growth Network on an event that took place on Drake Island today. Drake Island sits in Plymouth Sound, so I live in Plymouth, and Plymouth Sound is this huge, beautiful expanse of water. It's it's kind of a really incredible marine space, but sat in there is this island, and on that island there's kind of it's like an incredible amount of history packed into this place, and it's been sat basically empty. Hello, Nick. Okay, so let me just. I'll have the thought. Nick Field has just asked. I can't find the StreamYard link, so I'm just going to go. I'm going to share my screen for a second. We're going to sort of. Hang on a second. Share screen. Blah blah blah. Share screen. So you should. Okay, so it says here. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? It hasn't shared it. That is very unusual. I was expecting to see that. Anyway, doesn't matter. We're getting distracted. So I will go back to this. Yeah. So Drake Island has been sat in Plymouth Sound for thousands of years, millions of years in fact, as it happens, 450 million years, according to our guide. Which when he started the day talking about that thing, I thought, good grief, this is going to be a long talk. If we're covering all 450 million years, that is going to be a long day. But as it happens, there was a pretty brisk trot through its history. So this place has been empty for decades. I think it was last used in the late 80s as an outward bound centre and a studio for a kids' TV programme. But it's been sat empty, and a guy called Morgan bought it recently and told us a story about how he acquired it, and it's now being turned into a sort of a really. It sounds fabulous. It sounds like it's going to be a great place for local people to use. There's going to be a hotel on there, quite a luxurious hotel, but that's only a tiny part of it. There's going to be a visitor centre, places to go and things to see, and all sorts of amazing stuff. But the island itself is kind of it's like a warren of tunnels underneath it. We were able to go into the tunnels, and apparently the tunnels are kind of are quite significantly haunted. If you're into that kind of thing, and there's all sorts of stories that people tell about those tunnels, and they were indeed deeply atmospheric. And I would consider myself to be a skeptical sort, but I was in there thinking, if anywhere's going to be haunted, it's going to be here, because it was that kind of place. But then you've got these huge kind of, you'll see the pictures on the group. So if you'll see me kind of going over on the little boat. I'm a really bad sailor. I get seasick at the drop of a hat, so I was fully expecting to be throwing up practically, but actually it was like a mill pond at sea. So there are these huge cannons on the island, and all the houses, all the sort of the structures are boarded up. But to be able to go on there and film, so I was filming there for a number of reasons. One, to capture the day, but also two, to get some pieces to camera from Joe and Carly, but also to get some testimonials from the people there who would come along. So it was a paid event, and some of the people there were members of Ambition Growth Network, and other people were just there because it's an amazing place to see. But it was, in terms of generating content for Ambition Growth Network, it's going to be a great example, a great way to showcase their sort of community, people who turned up, but also we got some great testimonials. So actually, it's a good example of how to use an event to generate content. But also, it's the first time I've been out filming since March. I went to film at an event in London in March. I think, as my memory serves me, it wasn't too long before lockdown proper happened. It was supposed to be an enormous show at Excel in London, and I was filming there for a day for a client, and there was nobody there because everyone was quite nervous about COVID. I think I caught it there because I came back and then spent a fortnight really unwell after that. So it was a weird day. But then I haven't done any filming since then, other than for myself and some, Zoom consultancy work. So it was lovely to get back out and do some actual, boots on the ground filming for a really lovely people in an amazing location, and we had the weather for it. We were able to stand on the top of Drake's Island, looking out over kind of sand, up onto seeing the Hoe and seeing that famous kind of famous scene of seeing the lighthouse, Smeaton's Tower, and beautiful. Really, a really stunning day. So thank you, Joe. Thank you for that. So that's been my day. That's been my day. I went out filmed, packed very light, and it was a very enjoyable day. But what I want to talk about next, it has come to my attention that many people are quite uncomfortable about the idea of using video. And many people have joined this group because they find the idea of using video quite difficult. And here are a number of scenarios which might seem familiar. One, and this is to do with lives. You've done a live, you're going live, and you've done one live, and it doesn't go quite as you'd expected or hoped. You start your live up, the technology perhaps doesn't work well. You're doing your live, you don't quite know, you haven't really planned it, you've just kind of got this notion that you're going to go live and talk, and you kind of lose your thread, and you're doing that thing at the start of the live where you go, I'm just going to hang on for a few people to turn up, and you go, okay, I've got one person, and it appears to be my mum who's watching, and you go, I'm waiting for people I'll just wait a few more minutes and see if anybody else turns up. And so all that happens is that you're sitting there waiting for people to turn up, and then when people tune in, they see you going, I'm just waiting for people to turn up. And so a lot of people's experiences with doing lives is that they have a go and they find the whole thing quite excruciating because they haven't planned, they haven't kind of mastered the tech, they haven't haven't got a clear idea of where they're going. So they give it a go. It's a horrible experience. They don't do it again. So that may sound familiar. I know from my point of view, I gave that kind of stuff a go, and I did that, and I turned my back on lives for a while. I didn't do them. I've come to love them. Maybe it's because I get a cocktail. So it's about incentive. The second one, and this is to do with pre-recorded content. And there's a couple of things to think about here. So you pre-record something, you've maybe had a go at the editing, and editing the first time you do it can feel a little bit like pulling teeth. So you've done it, you haven't really loved it, and you get the final piece and you look at it and go, oh God, that's awful. I'm never showing that to anybody. And so you put it away, and you've actually spent a lot of time on it, a lot of effort, you've done it, and you look at it and go, one, who's that on screen? Because that's not me. That doesn't look like me. I don't sound like that. I don't look like that. Ugh. And so you put it in a drawer and you never look at it. You put it in the kind of the metaphorical digital video drawer and you never look at it again. Or, here's another scenario. You are creating, you kind of got over that hump. You're creating a few videos and you're going really well for the first 2, 3, 4 weeks perhaps. And then something gets in the way and all of a sudden you miss a week and you think, oh, I'll make it up, I'll do it tomorrow, and you do it tomorrow and then you think, oh, that wasn't so bad, people seem to turn up again, and then you find excuses and reasons why you justify it, and it happens again, you don't quite make it up again, and you miss a week, and then you miss another week, and before you know it, you just stop and you think, oh, I can't be asked to do it again, I'll pick it up in a couple of months' time. And you never do. So it's that stop, start, flow of content isn't there. You're never building that rapport, you're never building that audience. So those are a few different scenarios, and I know a lot of people find that familiar, because I've had conversations with so many people over the years. Those are some of the things they find difficult. Another great one, is that people spend hours, and in some cases quite significant stacks of cash, agonising over the kit they're going to be using. They don't know what kit they should be using, they don't know how to use it, or they do know how to use it, but they always think, I'll get it perfect. I'll get my kit set up perfect, and I'll know how to use everything. So they're putting kind of barriers in their own way in order to sort of stop the in order to kind of I don't know. Sometimes it feels like the tech one is a piece of kind of avoidance. They want to do video, but they don't want to do video, so you kind of focus on the tech. I will say, all of these things are things that I myself have been guilty of in the past. So I completely understand it. I completely get where these blocks are, where they come from, how they can get in the way. But I also know how to get over them. And we'll talk a little bit about certainly the one about getting in front of the camera and not necessarily liking what you see. Because for me, that was a really big one. A really big one that I had to get over. So I'm just going to double check something, just to make sure we are. Bear with me a second, I'm aware that my mic is sounding terrible, so hang on a minute. So how about this? How does this sound? We'll try that. I don't know what, there's something going on with the microphone. I think, as I mentioned it the other day, it's not necessarily going as well, so bear with me one second. Okay, so I think I'm a lot happier with that now. That probably sounds a whole heap better. As it's not perfect, because I'm now coming off the microphone and the camera, which isn't great, but it's clearly, there's something up here. There's something up with that one. I'm not happy. I'm not a happy man. But this is it. This is a really good illustration. It's a small thing, and the tech, for some reason, isn't on my side. And sometimes you can't quite pin down what it is. You can take the system apart, put it back together, and so that can be very dispiriting sometimes. So, you know, it's a good case in point. So, here we are. Why don't we like what we see on film? I'm just going to stop and start this again for a second. I will be back in a second.